Hey guys, it's Breslin. Happy Sunday evening. Here I am once again on Facebook Live, and the nerves are back again. They seem to be coming back every time I think I've got to teach. They're fine when I'm talking about products or whatever, but when I want to share something from my heart, I can feel the nerves. But anyway, forget about myself. And the reason that I'm doing this live broadcast on a Sunday night is that I had a private message from someone who saw my first Facebook Live a couple of days ago. And this individual is really, really struggling right now. She's been through lots of bereavement and, just really excruciating pain in her life. And one of her most recent losses was about 3 weeks ago. So what I'm going to do in this kind of short conversation is just talk about what happens when we are burned out, what happens when you're depleted. If you're watching this and you're running on empty, you've got no energy, your work is too demanding, your children are too demanding, your partner is too demanding, or you've just been through life experiences where you've had the stuffing knocked out of you. How do you get back on track? How do we negotiate these situations? So I'm going to talk to you from my own personal point of view. Around 3 years ago, I lost my business. My relationship ended. I ran out of money. I ran out of everything. I was in an absolutely empty space. I'd been a high-flying career executive. I had a fantastic reputation in my career, and I was in this place where I didn't have the energy to work. I didn't have the money to buy anything. Emotionally, I was drained, and my big high-flying career, my reputation, in my head, it was gone. I believed that I was at the end of the line. And because of my situation, I kind of had all my choices taken away from me. I didn't have any choice as to whether I was going to work or not because I didn't have the energy to do it. I couldn't earn money because I didn't have the energy to work. I wasn't interested in a relationship because I was so depleted energetically from that. And I was almost like this, I guess if you think of a balloon, I was just this, instead of the expanded balloon, I was this contracted little balloon that had nothing in it. And it was a really, really painful place to be, I was just absolutely empty. So when I got this email today and this lady was talking about, where she's at right now, one of the words that really kind of struck a chord with me was the fact that, she feels like it is almost wrong to rest. And I think humanity right now is in a place where we have forgotten how to connect with our true feelings. We've forgotten how to feel deeply into who we really are and what we really desire. And I think that so many of us, whether it's in our families, in our workplaces, wherever we are, we're surrounded by people who also think that resting and stopping and unplugging is something that is really unhealthy. I know that in my own personal situation, so many people were saying to me, well, why don't you just get a little job? Why don't you get a little job? And there was no way I could work. And I didn't want to work. I had no desire to do anything. And, I'm speaking to a camera right now, but I'm wondering if there's anyone out there who just feels like deep down, if you were to really tap into your feelings, if you were to really feel into your truth, do you need to rest right now? Do you need to slow down? Would you just love to pull the duvet over you and stop for a while? And I think if that's how you feel, that regardless of your situation, you know, you might have kids, you might have a job, you might have loads and loads of demands upon you, but there is always a way, you know, there's always a way to find some space. So what I did a number of things. And the other thing that this lady was saying is, she said, I really need healing. I really need healing. I need something to help move me on. And one of the first things that I would say is really, really important in this situation is, and I think for so many women we find it really difficult to ask for support. You know, so if you're feeling this way, who could you ask to help you out a little bit? You know, who's around you right now? And there's all sorts of forums and stuff like that online, you know, like one of the things I'm aware of is there are free Reiki sessions, there are places where you can go and get support, whether it's counselling, whether it's Reiki, whether it's, you know, whatever form of healing, talking therapies, physical therapies, you know, Google it, find out what's available. So number one, we've got to get support. The next thing is, in this place, I think what we do is we think that if we are to stop, our lives will stop completely. They'll stop forever. And that's a myth. This is something that I'm really passionate about talking more about. If you are feeling depleted, if you're exhausted, your productivity, your creativity, your ability to be with your children, your ability to be a good partner, your ability to be a good employee will be restricted and will be limited by your exhaustion and by your tiredness. I've worked with clients who have known that they were desperate for a change. They needed to change something drastically in their lives. But what they couldn't imagine doing would be stopping what they're doing right now, whether it was financial reasons or whatever reasons they came up with. They couldn't imagine how they could take some time out, how they could begin to work part-time, how they could actually give up work for a period of time. Some people have actually got the financial resources to do that. Some of us are consistently building our lives, building more and more responsibilities, more and more desires, and we're pushing ourselves into a place where we become so exhausted and so depleted. So what I'm asking you to think about is, how could you change things ever so slightly so that you could begin to give yourself more time? Could you work part-time? Could you work 4 days a week instead of 5? Could you somehow find half a day in the week for yourself? And if your answer is no, and you know, and this is maybe you and your partner, and the answer is absolutely no, you can't move things around, then sometimes we've got to look at the bigger picture of our lives and ask ourselves the question, how long am I prepared to live like this? How much am I prepared to compromise? How will my health suffer if I don't make a change? I was working with a client recently and she's desperate for a change. She's desperate for a change. However, the matrix of her life at the minute is that, you know, she needs to make money. But she has a really big house. And if she was to sell her house, she could release some money to give herself more space, more time, more ease, a little moment in this lifetime where she can recover, she can become stronger, and then she starts again. So going back to my story, I think when everything stopped for me, I just didn't know what I was going to do going forward. But I really learned over 3 years, I learned not to focus on the future anymore. I learned not to consistently focus on big goals, dreams, you know, where I was going next. Instead, I learned to be at peace with where I was in that day. So at the very beginning of my burnout, all I would do is watch mindless TV. And, you know, if you're watching right now, and, well, the lady, I won't say her name, if you're watching and you've gone through your grief, you've gone through your pain recently, if all you want to do is close the door and just be with your feelings, watch mindless TV, do not a lot. That's okay. And when you're in that really depleted place, that may be just what your body needs. And what happens is when you still the system down for a period of time, the energy begins to settle. You know, the stretch, the anxiety, the frustration that you have felt when you've been trying to push and please others and do what everyone else thinks or what everyone else expects, that all starts to settle when you make the decision that this is okay for you. So it's being true to yourself, being honest with yourself. What is it that you really need right now? And you give yourself that space. Now, I understand that your situation right now, you're in grief and deep pain. So for you, it's about feeling your feelings and probably getting some support right now. Getting some support and reaching out and connecting on forums like this. Connecting so that you can just get the love and the connection that you probably need in that place. Not where anyone's muddling or meddling in your business. So it's listening to your body and giving yourself exactly what you need. Now, what will happen is over a period of time, and I don't know how long that will be, it depends on your body. But number one, you've got to say yes, you've got to say that that's actually okay. So that's what I did. I just sat, I watched mindless TV, and then there came a day, I think it took about 3 months, where I thought, what do I want to do? And I thought, for all these months and years, I have yearned to be creative. Now, you might not even know what inspires you right now, what would lift your spirits. But for me, I've always loved renovating furniture, so I bought some old furniture and I started to paint it, but with no pressure. You know, there was no time scale of, you know, this furniture needs to be completed by this date. It was actually an act of receiving. It was a creative act of giving to myself. I bought some gorgeous paints. I sanded down these French dressers, one French dresser to start with, and I started to paint them. And I thought, you know, what do I want to paint this? How do I want to create the atmosphere in this room when I'm painting? And I put on classical music, and I paint and paint for, like, you know, in a week I paint for 30 hours in that week, every part of this unit, until it started to feel like I was getting a sense of satisfaction. And saying that, the satisfaction was listening to the classical music and also the movement of the brushes. Now, that's what worked for me. But it might be something different for you. And what happens is the body starts to relax. It's doing something that, you know, is a deeply receiving act. And it starts to relax. And when the body begins to relax, your creativity begins to wake up. And when your creativity begins to wake up, in that moment, you might start to think, oh, it might be nice, you know, once you've done this for a while, it might be nice to try something different. So it's almost like in nature, you know, if you think of plants or trees, you know, everything's growing and just naturally everything's unfolding organically. There is no rush. The tree is designed with this ultimate destination, this huge form that it's going to take. You know, the plant, the flower is designed to be a particular shape. And when we can get into that creative flow, when we get into that space of resting and not resisting, and when we're doing something we love, we're then receiving and we're filling up the vessel. So if you think about the balloon that I was talking about at the beginning, you know, it's so weak and it's kind of really, really depleted. And step by step, day by day, a little bit more air goes in, a little bit more strength, a little bit more form goes in. Step by step, it's growing, it's getting bigger, it's getting bigger. And that's been my journey over 3 years. It's been this organic unfolding. And I think in our culture today, everything is about, you know, where you are now and where you're going. I've written books on goal setting. I've written books on achieving your dreams. I know how to manifest. I know how to create. But I was empty. And when you're empty, it is so difficult to attract anything into your life. So when it comes to burnout and exhaustion and grief and sadness, sometimes we've got to carve a little space, or if we can, I would say you take the big space. So many people think, oh, I couldn't afford to give up work. I couldn't afford to go part-time because I've got my pension, I've got this, I've got this, I've got this. But actually, you know, if you really look into your finances, do you have enough to support your health, to strengthen you at this time in order as an investment to become aligned in your future to then go forward and, you know, do whatever it is that you're going to do in this lifetime? The kind of second part of this conversation that I wanted to have, it's actually a conversation with myself. Anyway, well, actually, I saw a little love heart or something popping across the screen a minute ago, and I think actually Linda, oh Linda, you're here, hi. So there is someone here with me while I'm chatting away. The second part that I want to talk to you about, you know, when we think about burnout and we think about exhaustion and we think about all these really, oh, there's a little love heart, someone else has just joined me, hello. When we go through these, oh, it's Linda, hi darling. When we go through these difficult phases, it is really, really difficult to imagine at the time that your collapse of your business, the death of people that you love, you know, the endings of relationships, the redundancy you've gone through, you know, whatever it is, whatever ending it is you've gone through, or whatever it is you're struggling with to let go. It's really hard to think that these experiences could bring value into our lives. And I'm going to speak directly with the lady who mailed me. And when it comes to bereavement and grief and death, I've been through quite a lot of that in my life as well. And, you know, I think in life we are designed to grow and to evolve. We're not designed to stagnate. When you've been bashed so many times, it might just feel like, you know, life is not worth living. This is just too difficult. But I would say if you learned self-development, self-awareness, this kind of work, becoming conscious of who you are, how strong you are, what your qualities, what your gifts are, self-exploration, this is something that is vital if you want to grow. And what I've learned in my experience, whether it was the death of my dad when I was 16 years old, and then, you know, my mum's partner, she had a new partner and he died when he was 50, and it was just like grief, grief, grief everywhere. I look back now and I look back to the end of my business, and I can tell you that with the death and the bereavement that I've gone through now, your early doors, 3 weeks is, you know, you're still going to be so raw. I'm looking back over the years now and I can see how these relationships and the difficulties really shaped me. They were part of my evolution as a human being. The ending of my business, I can say this hand on heart right now, and Linda, you'll one day you'll get this one. Hand on heart, I can say that it was the best thing that ever happened. The redirection of my life in the last 3 years, the acceleration of my awareness, my growth, my understanding about human behavior, human potential, manifestation, life realignment, coming into presence, living in harmony, living in balance, actually achieving abundance and not working too hard. These lessons would never have come to me if I hadn't gone through the crash. So I think, once again, as humanity, I really think that we really need to learn new ways to embrace endings, to learn to step through our fear and gently take baby steps towards new beginnings. We need to learn to twist and move and change in life. And that means when relationships aren't working, when businesses aren't working, when things aren't working, and I'm not saying you just jump out, but if you have been stagnating and someone else has been stagnating for long periods of time, you know, it's almost like in stagnation we are disconnected from the fullness of our potential and our spirit. We lose who we are, and that's not how we're designed to be. We're designed to be present. We're designed to go through change. We're designed to grow. And by going through the pain of these endings, if we stay connected to ourselves, we stay committed to the journey of growth. And when we follow that resonance and something calls to us, and we think, you know, that voice, whether it's me, whether it's someone else on Facebook, whether it's a book that you're reading or a synchronicity that pops up, follow it. Follow it, because it will guide you through. So I guess just to summarise, my three things, there's one last thing actually that's really, really important. For me, spending time in nature was one of the biggest healers of my depleted spirit and my depleted energy. Now, I'm really fortunate. I live right on the beach. I live at the sea. But walking in nature by yourself, so again, if you're listening, the lady who's written to me, you know, it's one thing staying in the house for a period of time, and that's okay. You know, and mindless TV is okay for a period of time. But if you can just take yourself off to a beach, take yourself into woods, a park, somewhere where you feel, and just try it, just go there. And if you just rest in that place, now it's really important that you try to still your mind down. So you might want to walk around a few times until you're just caught up with the waves, you're caught up with the trees, you're caught up with the energy around you. But you just be in that place, and then ask yourself at the end of it, how did that make me feel? Do I feel better for being in that space? Do I feel lifted in any way? And if you do, go back and do it again, and do it again, and do it again. Because what I'm learning is that this system, this earth, this Mother Earth that we live within, she sustains us. And if we get closer and closer to her, she will heal us. And yeah, Reiki and any kind of support you can possibly get, take it. But this is something that is natural and it's free and it's there for all of us. And if we can really get into, I'm going to use a wee technical term, the theta state, if we can get into a place where we move away from our mind, we move away from the busyness of those thoughts, we fixate on the beauty that is in nature. We fixate in the presence of whatever is in front of our eyes. If we find beauty in whatever is in front of our eyes, just be in that space, it starts to calm the mind down. And in that place, you will begin to heal. So, the little takeaways from this little live broadcast. Take as much support as you possibly can. As women, it's difficult for us, but take it if you can get it. So research what's going for free. And if you're in Scotland, if you have a look at Reiki Scotland, Lorna McLean's page, I'm sure you'll be able to be guided and directed from there. See what you can find. So take support. Go to nature. Nature will heal you. Make your own decision up. Your own decision about your healing period. If you need to be inside and you need to do nothing for a period of time, that's okay. You follow what you feel, not what anyone else feels. No one will ever know your grief. No one will ever know your burnout. No one will ever know what's going on inside your body. You need to make your decision and you stick to it. And then gently, gently take your focus off the future, the focus of what's going to happen next, but come into the presence. And in the present, your life will begin to unfold again. And gently, gently, day after day, and it could take a year, It could take 2 years. It could take 3 years. However long it takes, acknowledge, and really respect your body. Give it what it needs, but you must stay on a conscious path. You must stay connected to what really feels right for you. You must stay connected and dedicated to learning and growing and finding out more about yourself, how you feel, what you truly desire, where you want to go next, and give yourself exactly what you need. That's it. It's Sunday night. I haven't even brushed my hair to come in here, but I just really wanted to do this because I'd read that post this morning, and this is amazing. I'm feeling really excited about doing a lot more of this live broadcasting. I felt really frustrated hidden behind my website and marketing material, and just being here gives me an opportunity to do what my heart is calling me to do every day, what I believe I'm designed to do. So does anybody have, oh, hello Anne, you're here as well, yay! If there's any questions, just pop them up now. If not, then I'm gonna just leave it there. And the lady who sent the question in, God bless you, I just, you're in my thoughts. And yeah, oh, thanks Anne, thank you, lovely to see you, and lovely to hear your feedback. All right, I'm gonna go because it's supper time in the camp and I can hear people milling around outside. I'm gonna be back lots very soon. Take care, guys.